I've heard a rumor that you're leaving 16th and L on your way west to open up a local brewery. Couldn't think of a better guy to do it. I remember well when you first came and you would take me over to Pizza Paradiso and teach me the finer points of drinking beer. I've also heard, I guess, really over the last several years, what a great job you've done in bringing AACRAO along to bigger and better things. I would just suggest in your retirement that you invest in a straw hat and you get casual clothes and take at least 3 months every year in the tropics. Good luck.
Hi, my name's Mark Hummerding, and I'm Mike Reilly's favorite photographer of all time. I've been working at AACRAO for a number of years, helping to capture memories of the event. My favorite Mike Reilly story is at SEM in Chicago when he picked up the guitar and jammed with the band playing an Eagles song. And who knew he had that talent? I didn't. I just thought he was, an intellectual guy and asked really heady questions in front of panels. And so what I want to wish to you, Mike, is that you enjoy your next phase of your career. Hopefully it will involve some music and also possibly enjoying the NCAA basketball tournament semifinals and finals in a nice lounge chair rather than trying to squeeze those games in between AACRAO meetings. Take care. Have a great next chapter. Bye.
Hey, this is Tim Amix from Volunteer State Community College in Gallatin, Tennessee. I met Mike actually during the search process when he was hired as the AACRAO Executive Director. I was serving on N&E at the time and got a chance to represent the membership in that process. And I have to tell you, we knew right away that Mike was the right guy for the job. He just had the right attitude and the right background, and we were so excited about where we thought he would take AACRAO over the next several years. And I have to say, on the other side of those several years, we couldn't be more pleased. Mike has not only been a great executive director for AACRAO, but I'm very happy that over the years, I've gotten to know him and as a person that I can call my friend. He's certainly shown a lot of faith in me and given me opportunities to serve the organization and to further our profession. It's just been a great ride working with Mike, and I'm so sad to see him go, but at the same time, I'm so happy for him. I'm happy that he's going to get a chance to relax a little bit and enjoy himself. He's worked so hard for us, and he certainly earned a chance to go have a lot of fun, catch a few fish, play a little music, and enjoy some peace and quiet. Best wishes, Mike. We miss you, and we hope we see you soon.
Hello, Mike. Rick Torres here, CEO of the National Student Clearinghouse. And on behalf of the Clearinghouse, I would like to congratulate you on your retirement from AACRAO and a tremendous career in service to education. It has been a tremendous honor for me to be working with you over the last 12 years. I recall meeting you in Orlando, sitting outside the meeting in Orlando in 2008 on a bench. And, who knew what we would accomplish over the approximate 12 years of working together internationally with initiatives like Groningen, and also domestically as we moved agendas forward around FERPA and veterans and so many other areas where the Clearinghouse and AACRAO have jointly collaborated. I particularly want to thank you and also recognize the tremendous effort that you made and put into helping AACRAO develop better tools for its membership to better serve students. And jointly together with our research function and other areas of the Clearinghouse, I am very happy to have been able to support some of that work that has been happening over the past decade between our two organizations. We are a proud sponsor of AACRAO. And you have done great work to help evolve AACRAO to become a global force for the benefit of students and the training of administrators, and a convener of people who are like-minded in this area. So congratulations on a terrific career. I hope now that you're going into retirement, you'll have time to even brew more beer, catch more fish, and spend more time with family and friends. Thank you very much for all the collaboration, and congratulations again on a career that has been just tremendous. Take care.
Hi, my name is Kevin Kruger. I'm President and CEO of NASPA, Student Affairs Administrators in Higher Education. Mike and I have known each other really since the day I started as the President and CEO. We both started about the same time in our roles at AACRAO, and he has been an incredible colleague through many meetings and many great conversations. So a couple quick stories about Mike. First, some of you in AACRAO remember Jenny Barnett, who was a treasurer who worked at AACRAO and has since retired. Janie and I used to get invited to these Marriott events, and lunch, or sometimes there were some hotel tour kind of things. And I remember one time we were at a meeting up in the AACRAO offices, and Janie and I were like talking about the next weekend when we were going to go to this Marriott event, and Mike's like, boondoggle, and was sort of like very critical of it. And then the next thing you know, Mike started showing up at these events, including one of my favorites, which was the annual Marriott Chinese New Year. And the last 3 years, Mike's been there for some great food and fellowship. So, but mostly when I think about Mike, I think about he's always the smartest guy in the room. He speaks and everybody listens, and he knows what he's talking about. He's got great stories and great passion for the things that he really enjoys in life. And I always appreciated that he had struck this balance between, taking the job seriously, but also leaving space in his life for the things he enjoys, like fishing and playing his guitar and things of that nature. So Mike, on your exit to a different life and to a lot more the things that you were doing on the weekends as opposed to during the week, I have this to say for you. I wish you more fishing and less meetings, more music and fewer budgets, more sleeping and less of the Washington Secretariat, and then more beer and less inside higher education. Mike, you've been a good friend and colleague. I wish you the best. I hope somehow our paths cross again as you move into retirement, and I wish you the absolute best.
Good day. I'm Tom Black, former registrar of Johns Hopkins University and now the Chief Innovation Officer of Paradigm Incorporated. Mike, I see that you are hanging up your spurs and heading into the sunset, literally going west to retirement. Well, congratulations. I think you deserve it. And I hope that you have a lot of fun. I know a little bit what you're going to engage in. And that sounds like a whole lot of fun to me. I hope you have an award-winning brew product that will take on Budweiser someday, which wouldn't be hard to do because that is really weasel piss anyway. I really hope that you have a wonderful time in retirement. I just want to remember to you the time that we fished in the Everglades. That was a lot of fun. Going after those tarpon. I'd never caught a fish that large before, and the way they perform once they are caught, but jumping in the air and trying to shake us off. I mean, it was truly a wonderful experience, and you were almost an expert guide in helping me be very successful those 3 days. I really enjoy that. I will always remember it. And hey, I hope that won't be the only trip. Maybe as you plan trips in the future, you'll think of me and we can get on another gig together. So that would be a lot of fun. So I'll just end by saying, you did a wonderful job as the executive director of AACRAO. Professionally, you were marvelous, and we couldn't have had a better director. So not only did I get to know you personally, but professionally, you were just perfect, exactly what we needed, and you performed very well. So I wanted really to say thanks. Thanks both professionally and personally. You've been a great friend. You are a great friend. So you go and have fun, and we'll connect hopefully in the near future. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hello, I'm Julia Pomerick. I work as the University Registrar and as one of the Assistant Vice Presidents for Student Services and Enrollment Management at the University of Oregon. Starting in the 1990s, Mike and I were Cub administrators in the state of Washington at Washington State University. Wise elders welcomed us to the committee tables where discussions were encouraged and decisions were made. With guidance and humor, we became the discussion leaders and the decision makers. Mike always brought his deep understanding of people, policy, and processes. 20 years later, I had the high honor to serve as a reference for Mike when he applied to be the executive director for AACRAO. I was delighted to declare that AACRAO needed Mike at our table. Thank you, Mike, for leading our discussions and leading our decisions. Because our shared table is virtual this year, this real can of Kruger Gold cheese will come to you in the mail. Thank you for being our big cheese.
I am Herman de Leeuw, Executive Director of the Groningen Declaration Network. I know Mike for over 8 years. I first met Mike on Thursday, 13 September 2012 in Dublin, Ireland, on board the motor vessel Chill Iron, a former Irish passenger liner that had turned into a bar restaurant and was moored at the North Wall Quay in the River Liffey. In the summer of 2012, Mike had just assumed the role of Executive Director of AACRAO. He had been urged by Tom Black, then Registrar at Stanford University, to attend the EAIE annual conference in Dublin, his first international trip, so it seems. Mike's Irish ancestry may have helped to take the decision to cross the pond, but his main goal had been to meet up with the leadership of the then fledgling Groningen Declaration Network's leadership. All of its inaugural directors were assembled in Dublin, contributing to the EIE program and planning for dinner the evening Mike arrived. Mike was instantly inducted into the GDN leadership and ushered into the restaurant, probably the Charlotte Key, where we had our first shared meal. Many more were to follow over the next years. Enjoying one another's company over good food and just a few drinks proved to be one of the defining elements of the GDN board and network wherever the GDN circus touched base around the globe. And Mike clearly liked the company. I vividly remember the lunches we shared at the erstwhile Irish neighborhood pub right next to the then AACRAO office at 1 DuPont Circle, and dinners at the Tabard Inn and elsewhere in the wider DuPont area, which Mike, Janie, and the AACRAO team graciously provided to the GDN board while meeting at the AACRAO office. Mike, I am immensely grateful for the friendship, hospitality, and guidance you provided over the years, and it would be my pleasure to return a few of the favors you showered on the GDN and on me. I would be happy to welcome you in Groningen. I wish you the very best now that you retire. I know you will have no problem finding things to do, and who knows, I might show up one of the coming years to pay you a visit.
Hi everybody, I'm Rob Shoemaker. I'm the Senior Vice President with the College and University Professional Association for Human Resources, otherwise known as CUPA HR. I'm also the External Director on the AACRAO Board of Directors. And I know Mike Reilly through our work at CUPA HR on such projects like the Enrollment Cliff and also my time on the AACRAO Board. So Mike, congratulations, my friend. It's great that you're able to turn to this next chapter of retirement, and I wish you the best. I hope you are able to enjoy the great outdoors, that you get to go fishing, and that you get to enjoy a lot of great craft beer as well. We're going to miss you, man. Take care. Don't be a stranger.
Good morning, Mike Reilly. It is Jerry Montag from Northern Illinois University in Illinois, in Illinois. And you know what? I cannot believe that I am having to say goodbye to you on your retirement from AACRAO. You've been wonderful. You've been a great friend. You've been a great leader. Where do you want to start? I do know that I was told that I only have a total of 4 minutes to speak, to talk about you and working together and everything, and not being too long-winded, but being a New Yorker, you know, that's going to be hard to do and everything, but I'll give it my best. To those of you who don't know Mike started AACRAO 10, 12 years ago, and he took over for Jerry Sullivan, and Mike has done an unbelievable yeoman's job all those over the years and everything. I know, Mike, you've been you've moved AACRAO up to the ranks of being a leader in the country for higher education institutions, for governmental officials and everything, for everybody and anybody or any person who needs information about higher education and everything. For those of you who don't know Mike, he is a risk taker. He, along with members of the board and others, made the decisions to move out of 1 DuPont Circle to purchase a property on 16th Street. And it is a beautiful property. It made so much sense and everything. And your success with AACRAO is going to be missed and everything. A few stories about Mike. I had the opportunity as a member of the board to have a dinner at his house one night, and Mike has a beautiful brick oven pizza maker. And being from New York City and everything, the Bronx, go Yankees, I do want you to know that we're a little strict with how our pizza will taste and everything. And we know that it's typically you buy a slice of pizza from a local pizza place and everything, and you enjoy it. But you know what, Mike? Those homemade pizzas that you made at your house were wonderful. For those of you who don't know how that pizza was made, you got a big piece of dough. It was rolled out, and you put on all the toppings, all the cheese, all the oils, all those unhealthy things that are bad for your health. But you know what? Life is too short to worry about that and everything. But the pizzas that came out of the oven, the camaraderie we had with one another. I know, Mike, that pizza was so good with all the drinks we had before and after and everything. But you know what? It was a wonderful evening. I'll also say another trivia about Mike. It's his house. And Mike's house in Maryland has beautiful antiques and collectibles and knickknacks, and for better word, tchotchkes all over the place and everything. And I felt like I was in a museum, Mike. I really felt like I was in a museum, but it was a wonderful visit to your house and everything. But as far as being a leader for AACRAO, he's made decisions to take on more responsibilities. Mike has been excellent with making many initiatives that boards members over the years have recommended, suggested, and Mike made certain he moves it along. I know your staff loved you. You were a lead by example and everything. And I know, Mike, it's going to be hard seeing you move onwards and upwards. I know Washington State is going to be lucky to have you there. I know you said you're going to do a lot of hiking and fishing and hunting, whatever you do out there in Washington State. I know you're going to have much happiness. But from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, it's been a pleasure knowing you, seeing you, working with you, talking with you, agreeing with you, disagreeing with you, laughing with you, chit-chatting with you, just chewing the fat and everything. So all the best, much happiness. 15 seconds to go. I wish you all the best, Mike, on your future years, health and happiness, and you take care. We'll look forward to talking again always. Bye-bye. 2, 1.
Hi, Mike. Janie Barnett here in San Diego, California. And I'm wishing you a wonderful retirement, knowing that you're going to Washington State, and I think you're still doing your brewery. And we hope to hear an announcement that it's open. I can take a road trip up the coast and maybe gather some DC folks to meet me there. And we'd be happy to cheer on this new endeavor for you. I wanted to share a little bit about how I met Mike. And It was years ago in the 80s when I hired him as an undergraduate student, and he worked in the financial aid office with Jerry Sullivan, former AACRAO executive director, and I. And we had him in the student loan area. And years later, when I saw Mike at a conference, Mike reminded me who he was. I said, "Oh, were you a peer counselor? Did I hire you for that?" And he said, "No, I was in the student loan area, and I was entering student applications for loans into an old Selectric." So we had to chuckle about that. It was also, Mike became, about a year or two later, I can't remember, became the president of the student body at Iowa State, and helped us pull off a college work study program from the state. And that was him and student groups. And it was thrilling to get that funding. And Mike's always been student oriented. And I know that many of his staff at all of the places that he worked loved him. And he has been a great guy to work with for me, and I know I'll always stay in touch with him and wish him well. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on this video.
Hi there, I'm Nora McLaughlin, Registrar at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And I had the pleasure of serving on the board when Mike was appointed Executive Director of AACRAO. I met Mike Reilly when the AACRAO board was looking for an executive director to succeed Jerry Sullivan. It was quite the challenge. Happily, luckily, amidst a strong pool of candidates, Mike emerged as the board's first choice. I remember a year later talking with some of those board members, and we congratulated ourselves on what a fine choice we had made. Thanks, of course, to Mike's good work. During that search process and into Mike's first year, we met in a variety of venues, including a Thai restaurant in Tacoma, Washington called Silk Thai. How appropriate. I don't remember Mike wearing a tie to that dinner. More typical were venues that celebrated the fine art of brewing beer. Mike even introduced me to a Portland annual celebration, honoring one of the fathers of my city's robust beer scene. Who knew? Mike is a man who knows many facets of culture. From the beginning of his tenure, Mike approached the leadership of AACRAO with energy, good humor, and creativity. As he leaves AACRAO, we are a stronger, more connected, and more responsive association. I'm grateful for his work. Mike, thank you for what you've done for AACRAO. You've raised AACRAO's profile, planned for a financially strong future, developed and honored a great staff, and engaged the membership in innovative and inclusive ways. And you always remembered to see the humor in the challenges that came out of the blue. Welcome back to the Pacific Northwest.
Hello, Mike. I'm Mark McConaughey, Associate Vice Provost and Registrar at Indiana University. You know, I've known Mike ever since he joined AACRAO as its Executive Director in 2012. And I was the program director of the AACRAO Technology Conference, and later when I served on the AACRAO board. You know, Mike was always a pleasure to work with. He's always very good at his work. You know, he had a way of making you feel so comfortable and made you feel like everything you were doing for the association was just that much easier to do because he kept it at the right tone. I will say that at his retirement, he will not lack for things to do. He's a musician, a guitar player, a singer, a worldwide traveling fly fisherman, a grizzly bear companion, a builder of canoes, collector of unique ceramic items and artifacts, a beer and ale aficionado, and a lover of whiskeys and scotches. You know, all my years I've known him, whenever beer was required, Mike could always be found at a fine local IPA or the establishment which served it. But in addition to beer and ales, he also liked his brown liquor. When he and Tom learned of my affinity for the same, Mike took me to the finest bar in Washington, D.C., the Jack Rose Dining Saloon, and treated me to some of the finest Irish whiskey I've had the pleasure to consume. In a manner that, really is Mike, or really is emblematic of Mike. When he arrived at the Jack Rose, he started a conversation with just about the only person who was in it at the time. He started talking to him, sat down at our table, and it turned out to be the owner of the place, Mr. Jack Rose. Well, Mike, by the way, I still owe you for that. I think it cost you a pretty penny. Mike and I also shared a love for Richard Thompson. He's a British folk legend, and he remains a bit obscure, but he's well known in certain circles. Well, it turned out that Mike opened for Richard at one of his gigs. I don't remember exactly where, but I know that Mike got to meet him backstage when Richard was told that Mike was going to open for him. I remember what Mike told me he said, and Richard's remark was, "Well, brave man." So, to honor Mike, let me quote a slightly modified set of lyrics from one of Richard Thompson's tunes. It's called 1952 Black Lightning. Mike, is that the year you were born? Just kidding. But anyway, I've modified the lyrics of the last verse just a bit to suit Mike. So here we go. Well, he reached in his pocket and gave Tom the keys to seal our standard. "Tom, you take these. I see beers and ales in leather and chrome swooping down from Washington to carry me home." Well, Mike, enjoy your place in Washington. You've earned it, and you have left a hole in all of our hearts. And all I can say to that is, well done. We'll really miss you, Mike.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Stan Pomerick, Vice President for Student Affairs at South Plains College. My first introduction to Mike was at the annual meeting in Philadelphia, and then on my first round on the board of directors in 2013. Mr. Reilly, my friend and colleague, you've left a remarkable legacy behind, not only in higher education, but also in associational leadership, a legacy which will remain with us for years to come. You're leaving AACRAO in a better place, and that in itself is a lasting tribute to your professionalism and your dedication to our professions. Your insight into leadership, new building construction, and of course, building management, and ultimately through the blessed art of filtering hops and barley through water for a more divine means of consumption, have created a much stronger admiration for your abilities. Cheers to you on your next adventure. But remember, heed those words of an old friend, Ford Perfect. Listen, it's a tough universe out there. There's all sorts of people and things trying to kill you, rip you off. Everything. If you're going to survive out there, you've really got to know where your towel is. Before I go, I need to ask you one favor. Would you find it possible to please put in a RV hookup on your property? All I need is a halfway level spot and a 30 amp outlet and a water connection. I do promise not to stay more than 3 days because we know what they say about fish and friends. So until then, when we can raise another pint together, salute, my friend. To Mike.
Hi, I'm not really a video myself kind of person, but here goes. This is Jennifer Mink. For AACRAO, I'm the VP of International Education, and in my real life, I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at Tarrant County College here in Fort Worth, Texas. I have been very active in the international education arena for AACRAO for several years, and that's how I met Mike when he first started his tenure as our executive director. It was nice to meet somebody who is very outgoing and lots of fun. And of course, if you know the international education folks, you can always find us in whatever bar happens to be close to the hotel that we seem to be staying at, whether it's for leadership, committee meetings, or for the annual meeting. Typically, it would be follow the sound of Luis's laughter and find us at the bar. And he did that, and he hung out with us. And we really got to know him right from the very beginning as a very personable guy. But then when I was elected to the board of directors, I could see all the behind the scenes stuff. and all of the great work that he did in moving AACRAO forward over the last several years. I want to wish you congratulations on your retirement. I'm rather envious, looking forward to retiring someday. But you will have tons of fun in the Palouse. It's beautiful. I won't envy you the winters, but the scenery every day will be beautiful. And I hope you really enjoy your time. We will miss you here at AACRAO. And goodbye.
Hi, my name's Neil Robinson. I was the Registrar at the University of Melbourne in Australia. And I met Mike at the San Francisco annual meeting. And Mike introduced me to AACRAO and also to the Groningen Declaration. Mike, I hope I've got the pronunciation of that right. It was Mike who was one of the inspiring figures in establishing the MyEquals credential system solution, if you like, across Australia and New Zealand. He joined our annual meeting in Australia virtually. We all have to do it virtually now, but at the time he joined us virtually and was able to explain the value of being able to move documents electronically around the globe. That inspired Australian and New Zealand institutions to take up the issue, to work with our Foreign Affairs Department and to really push ahead at the time. So Mike was a founding inspiration, and I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for Mike's internationalist view and perspective. I think it's always been important for AACRAO to be looking out and reaching out internationally. I know that it's not always been the case more recently, where that was seen as a universal good, but Mike has espoused and been a real advocate for that. And for those of us around the world, Mike has been a true light, and we're really grateful for that. I mentioned Groningen, and it was fantastic working with Mike on the board of that organisation. We had some really great times where he tried to explain US politics to me, and I think I just despaired. But Groningen is a great example of working together across international boundaries for the collective good of the students that we seek to serve and the organisations that we seek to serve. And Mike was a true advocate of that. So Mike, we had a great annual meeting in Paris. We'll always have Paris. I wish you all the very best with whatever life's journey takes you from here. I hope we do stay in touch and do keep up the good fight for a global and internationalist view in all that we do and in all of how we think and approach life. Great to know you, and all the very best.
Hi, Mike. It's Matt Patinsky from Parchment here. I still remember when we first met back in 2012 in your office at 1 DuPont Circle, the old AACRAO offices now, talking about what else? Electronic transcripts. So I don't know what others are speaking to in this tribute, but I wanted to cover two areas. First, I want to thank you for being so open to Parchment and other technology organizations and the role we can play responsibly, of course, as potential thought partners to institutions as technology changes so much in how higher education operates. And second, I want to thank you for your vision and your leadership around innovating the academic record, whether it was the work that you led at AACRAO with the Groningen Declaration Network internationally, or the work with NASPA and Lumina around the comprehensive learner record. You and AACRAO have done so much under your tenure to advance the conversation and practice around digital credentials and how they support learners and help learners turn those credentials into opportunities. So stay well, enjoy fishing, I assume. You are a mensch, and I hope we will stay in touch. Take care. Bye.
Hi, I'm Jeff von Monkwitz-Smith, a retired university registrar who's a past president of AACRAO. I first got to know Mike when he was a candidate for the executive director position. I was on the board as president-elect and met him during the search. He became the executive director about the same time that I became AACRAO president. It was a time of learning for both of us. We got to know each other pretty well during our weekly phone calls and a number of face-to-face meetings. It was after one of those meetings that we went out to dinner at a brew pub outside of DC. The place had a small store attached, and I saw this backpack, spiky. I admired it, and Mike, of course, said, "Oh, you have to get it." So I did. The backpack has started a lot of conversations over the years with faculty on campus, with TSA workers in airports, and little kids and their parents on ComAv in Boston. One of the frequent topics of discussion for the AACRAO board at the time was succession planning in the association, on our campuses, etc. One of the board members asked to tee up the conversation, what happens if Mike gets run over by a bus? I said that I'd prefer to ask, what if Richard Thompson, who's a favorite guitarist of both of us, asked Mike to join his band? I recall also telling Mike, be sure to look both ways before you cross the street. Now, when I learned Mike was retiring, I was really hoping he was joining Richard on tour, but I guess brewing beer and spending time fly fishing in Eastern Washington is also pretty nice. Mike, congratulations on your well-earned retirement. You've had a tremendous positive effect on the association and our professions. And I'm hopeful that once the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, we can get together in person for a beer or two. Enjoy.
Hey, Mike. This is Christy Wold-McCormick, University Registrar at the University of Colorado Boulder. Mike, I can't believe the time has nearly arrived for you to hang up your AACRAO name badges and head west. Maybe a little too far west, in my opinion, but you're heading to God's country. When I think back over the years and my memories of you, there are too many to count. However, I specifically remember your first AACRAO meeting where you were introduced as executive director. I was sitting a couple tables over from you and immediately went over and invited you to attend the Upper Midwest AACRAO meeting as your first regional conference. I was at NDSU at the time and on the UMACRO program committee, and you graciously accepted. From that time, both our friendship and our professional relationship have blossomed. In addition to the many AACRAO projects, initiatives, and memories we've shared over the years, most recent being with my serving on the board of directors, I also have many fond memories of going to cool breweries and restaurants with you in various cities, be they in Boulder, Salt Lake City, or DC. You know your beer, and the conversations and laughs we've shared over pints will forever be cherished. Mike, you have contributed so much to the growth and progress of AACRAO as executive director. You've been a fantastic advocate for our professions, an amazing networker, a shrewd budget manager, an effective leader, and an amazing friend to many. We'll miss you, Mike. I'll miss you. I know we'll stay in touch, and I look forward to hearing about the new adventures that you and Ray will have on the Palouse. Celebrate this milestone and keep living life to the fullest. You deserve all the good things to come. Cheers to you, Mike.
Well, I can't say that I'm not jealous, Mike, that you're getting to retire, but it's much deserved. I've seen what you've done for AACRAO, and I've been the beneficiary of a lot of that. And so for that, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for always having such a great attitude, such a giving spirit, and a smile. You always had a smile for me, and I appreciate that. I wish that we'd gotten to work together a little bit longer, but I hope you have an amazing retirement, and enjoy all the things that you like to do. We'll miss you.
Hi, I'm Justin Drager, President of the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators, and I want to congratulate Mike on his upcoming retirement. Mike was one of the first connections that I made as we both came on as relatively new association leaders. And over the years, I've relied on Mike for good advice and always a good laugh. In a town that's filled with doublespeak, Mike has been a refreshing dose of cool-headed analysis and straight talk. And his enthusiasm is pretty infectious. He may be the only person in the world who has ever gotten me remotely excited about the thought of sitting in a boat in the ocean or standing in a stream somewhere and casting a line waiting for fish to bite. My best to you in your retirement, Mike, and I look forward to joining you some point in the future, solving the world's problems somewhere remote with a cool beverage in hand, waiting for the fish to bite. Take care.
My name is Tina Faulconer. I am the Director of the Office of Student Finance at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. I know Mike from my 6 years on the board of directors, 3 as a vice president, and 3 as past president, and president-elect. And my favorite Mike story is when he came to a joint meeting of the Upper Midwest AACRAO and the Wisconsin AACRAO, and he likened the registrars to the Steve Martin character in the movie The Jerk, who was so incredibly excited when the phone books showed up. And he said we had that same enthusiasm for the FERPA guide. And as much as I would like to say he's wrong, he's not. We get pretty excited about the FERPA guide. So Mike, I wish you a long and happy retirement. I hope that you have many exciting adventures. I hope that you have more books and new authors than you can possibly read. I hope that your brewing skills get perfected and you find some incredible microbreweries that make you happy. From one gardener to another, I hope you have a marvelous garden filled with veggies and herbs and other things that you can grow, and you relish the feeling of dirt under your fingernails. And mostly, I just hope that you are happy and that you do things that bring you joy. Thank you for all you've done for AACRAO. I hope that you have a wonderful retirement.
I'm Philip Bellinger, the now retired head of undergraduate enrollment at the University of Washington. And I first got to know Mike back in 2003 when I had first started at the University of Washington. And Mike had invited us to his home in Ellensburg, Washington, where he worked as head of enrollment at Central Washington University. And his home was a small house in the Swauk Creek Valley that was out of town. And when I say out of town, understand that one valley over, a pack of wolves lived there. So Mike enjoyed nature and the wilderness and invited us to Swauk Creek Valley for a meeting. And he invited all the heads of admissions and enrollment at the public baccalaureates in Washington, along with some state-level policy wonks, to discuss the misalignment between what it took students to graduate from a public high school in Washington and then what it took them course-wise to be admissible to a public baccalaureate institution in Washington. And for years after, we always referred to that meeting as the meeting at the ranch. And the results of that meeting were the beginning of a change in policy that aligned high school graduation requirements with college entry requirements and serve thousands of students in the future, I'm sure. But in any case, during that meeting, I experienced both Mike, the policy wonk that knew his stuff, and Mike, the man of many talents, playing his guitar, singing folk songs while grilling us a fine meal outside. And for years afterwards, Mike and I had the opportunity to serve on all sorts of national groups and committees. And I experienced Mike interacting with state legislators from the most rural areas imaginable to national level leaders, and always doing so with knowledge and grace and good humor and enjoying those interactions, and always admired Mike for that capacity of joining expertise and affability and just being able to get along with people well. I have so many Reilly stories, I don't even know where to start. I have seen Mike fish with brown bears in Alaska. When I say with, really, with brown bears in Alaska. And I've seen him fish with manatees in Belize. And I've seen him make people laugh so hard that whatever they were drinking came out their noses. And I've seen him, and he'll remember this very well, playing his guitar and singing the band's Take a Load Off Annie, along with an antisocial bush pilot in Alaska, and getting that guy to absolutely howl the verses by the end of the song. It was great, and I have it on video to prove it. Mike, here's to your retirement on the Palouse, a retirement that will include nights full of stars, will probably involve your husky chasing off moose, will certainly involve gatherings with friends once more at the ranch. And here's to great days of fishing and laughing with friends in the wilderness. And for God's sake, when you get your brewery up and running, would you just make me a wheat beer or a lager and save my feeble palate from a used tire stout? Thank you. Congratulations, Mike. And I look forward to sharing some good days with you in the coming years. Congratulations.
Hi. I'm Adrienne Keller McDay, one of the past presidents of the American Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. Mr. Reilly, words cannot express all the times we shared while at AACRAO. I've learned so much from you as a person and as a colleague. I have known you to be resourceful, knowledgeable, fair, competent, a great musician, and an avid sports fan. Effective in whatever you're tasked with. You taught me the difference between an IPA, a stout, a green ale, and a pilsner, just to name a few. So I guess you are a beer connoisseur. Mr. Reilly, you have been a great asset as executive director. Thank you. Mr. Reilly, you are just what AACRAO needed for the 21st century. A great addition to the association, its membership, the board of directors, and the AACRAO staff, and the many partnerships established and maintained here and abroad. We will miss you. We will miss your problem solving, your honesty, your counsel, and your wit. Thank you for all that you have done and will continue to do for higher education and AACRAO. You have been a great colleague and a dear friend. I wish you well, great success during the next chapter of your life, retirement. It's a wonderful life. I still look forward to our football game text. Be well, my friend. Enjoy to the fullest. Holla.
Hey, Mike, this is Paul Kyle. Great to see you, man. I wish we were there in person, but it is what it is. I'm out here looking at my front window here and looking at the snow and the bright, shiny day today, but enjoy the retirement right now, and I know you will as well. Hey, it's been great to serve with you over the years as being on the board as a VP and the president. We had some wonderful times, and I can remember on one occasion we were at AACRAO in the office there, and you invited us out to your house, and you had this brand new pizza making oven that was hotter than get out, I tell you what. But you slaved over that thing to make sure that we all were comfortable and had a wonderful time. And that's just a reflection of who you are and how you served AACRAO and the membership. Is you always wanted to make sure that you had the membership in mind and served them well. And we really appreciate that. And you always had that in mind as far as serving the membership any way you could. And again, some of the other memories is I remember one time you came out to Johnson County Community College to be a keynote speaker, and we had an opportunity to go see a Royals game, and they happened to be playing Washington. And so I do remember the Royals were down a little bit, and you decided you would join us in wearing a Royals rally cap helmet. And by golly, the Kansas City came back and won. So you're a good luck for us. But again, I just appreciate all you've done for us over the years as far as AACRAO is concerned. And we're going to greatly miss you. But I know you're going to have a great time in retirement, and you're well deserved. And I hope to be able to get up to Washington sometime, because I love Washington, as you know, was born there, and love to drive up to your place. And I can just imagine you're on the porch there with blue jeans and hiking boots on, and a plaid shirt of some kind, no tie. And I just imagine you're probably going to have a little bit of sawdust on those jeans from your latest wood project, and probably a few beer stains from your latest brewery and invention as far as your beer. But again, enjoy the time. Well deserved, sir. And thank you for all you've done for us and me as a professional in AACRAO. Thank you.
I'm Cassandra Moore, Director of Admissions and Enrollment Development at Anne Arundel Community College. Mike, this is not a goodbye. This is a thank you. I want to thank you for your advocacy on behalf of Group 5 Access and Equity. From the moment I became an AACRAO member and throughout my transition to leadership roles, culminating in the privileged place of serving on the AACRAO Board of Directors as a Vice President of Access and Equity, you have been forward-thinking and a consistent ally. Under your leadership, AACRAO has included diversity and inclusion as core competencies for registrars and admissions officers. Diversity and inclusion, and I might add values, should be embedded in our daily work. We now have the LEAD program in recognition of our need to nurture a diverse group of leaders. The desire to engage, recognize the gifts, and improve participation of a broad group of members resulted in the Identifying Caucus Excellence Program. Your advocacy meant that our voices mattered. Your advocacy meant our voices were heard and respected. But most importantly, you and your wonderful AACRAO staff threw your full weight and gifts behind Group 5 Access and Equity's initiatives. Your leadership legacy is your impact, your influence, and the values you've demonstrated by your decisions and your actions. You have made a positive difference, and your leadership legacy is secure. I just want to thank you, and I wish you the best.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Kitch. I am the University Registrar at Cornell University. I also serve on AACRAO's Board of Directors as Vice President at Large, outgoing, and incoming President-elect. I know Mike from working on the board, certainly throughout the past 3 years, but even before that, as a valued colleague and a wonderful friend. I think about and I'm grateful for the time together that I was on the board and able to work closely with Mike. One of my favorite Mike memories, he had the board over to his place for a special pizza night a few years ago, pre-pandemic. And it was a night of fun, of food, and a lot of laughs, to be quite honest. It was really great. I feel like I've connected with Mike over lots of things. Mike, I'm grateful for some of our Midwest connections and where those are. We definitely both have a love of red, and I'm wearing some Cornell red today. Also have my red Chucks on. Just silly connection, but I know we both love that color. Mike, I would love to host you in Ithaca at Moosewood Restaurant sometime. We'll have to connect there and certainly show you some of the great places around Ithaca. I probably can't help much with the beer stuff though. I'm more of a wine girl, but we've got lots of wineries in the area too. I wish you all the best in your retirement. My saddest part is that you weren't going to be here for another 3 years, my friend. I'd love to serve my presidential cycle with you too. But truly wishing you all the best on your very well-deserved retirement. I can't wait to hear about Washington adventures, and I know you'll stay connected. Much love to you, my friend.